Okay, let's talk about exhaust only. Many people come up to me, especially contractors. They say they put in these new bath fans that run on a timer or they run continuously at low speed, and they say that meets the code and it's good enough. My question would be: is it going to be good enough for the health problems that are presented in a new tight house or an older house that was weatherized and really tightened up? Is that going to be the solution for the health issues? And my answer is no. And let's look at the dynamics. I've already talked about how air moves high pressure to low pressure. So let's look and see what a bath fan does. And yeah, in this example, we're assuming that the house is a tight house. We've gone around, we've tightened up around the windows so we don't have any air leaks there. We have very minimal air leakage. And so the bath fan runs and it takes the air from the bathroom and it blows it outside. Now, the first thing you have to look at is that bathroom. How does makeup air get into that bathroom? If you're going to blow air out, air's got to try to get back in to replace that. Half-inch undercut on a door allows approximately 30 cubic feet of air a minute into the room. Half-inch. I don't know what your door tolerances are, but many that I see are less than a half an inch. That presents a little bit of a problem right there. From one room to another room with a pressure issue. If I'm blowing out a bathroom exhaust fan that's trying to do 50 by code, maybe 80, assuming that it's ducted properly so that air actually can get outside, 4-inch flexible duct is very restrictive, and most of them probably are not hitting that, but let's say they are, for argument's sake, 50 cubic feet of air a minute. If it's blowing out at 50 and only 30 can get into the room or less, how is that fan even doing its job? That's the first part of the equation. Second part of the equation, let's assume that you have that door open and 50 CFM is going out and it's able to get into that room. Then the next place it's got to come from is from the outside. So it's got to come from the outside, whether it be the side door, the front door. Those doors tend to still be a little leaky. Sliders tend to be a little leaky. Maybe where the house is connected to the foundation, a bulkhead. Maybe the kitchen range, you're not using that exhaust fan, so maybe it's coming in there. Maybe it's coming in the flue from the wood stove that's not on. I don't know. But it's going to come in those places, and it's going to head. That's the high pressure now. The low pressure is in the bathroom, so it's going to go from high pressure to low pressure. Okay, that's the flow of the air. That's how it flows. So my question is this. Health issue. What room do we spend the most time in? I mean, I think it would make sense to make sure that the room we spend the most time in gets ventilated, gets the fresh air that we need for our health reasons. And I don't know about you, but I don't spend most of my time in the bathroom. So, it's a question I ask here. What room do you spend the most time in? You can't answer me, so I'll have to answer it for you. I think arguably the average person spends 6 to 8 to 10 hours in their bedrooms sleeping. If they work outside the home, kids certainly have school most of the time of the year that the house is closed up. So I believe arguably the bedroom is at least a room we spend significant amount of time in, and it's probably the room we spend the most amount of time in our homes. That being said, that to me would be a very important room to make sure that I'm getting a flow of fresh air in and that the pollutants are being eliminated from. So here's the problem. If the bathroom fan is running trying to ventilate my house and air moves from high pressure to low pressure, just because my bedroom door may be open, air's got to go from one opening to another, and there's got to be a pressure difference. We've done a really good job sealing around our windows. I've talked to the window manufacturers. When the window's closed, they say very little air leaks through it, very little. We've done a really good job sealing the spaces around where it fits in the rough opening. So we foamed it and we've caulked it. We've stuffed all kinds of stuff in there to stop the airflow. It used to be you'd stuff pink insulation in there. The wind would blow on the outside, create high pressure on the outside, and it would actually push its way past the molding, and you can actually put your hand above the window molding and actually feel air coming in, and curtains used to move. But we've stopped that. So how is the room that we spend most of our time in? And by the way, it's a period of time that our bodies are trying to recuperate. We're trying to rest. Our bodies has a chance to actually deal with some of the things it needs to do to get us up in the morning so that we feel better. But if we don't have fresh air in that room and we're living in a polluted room, I mean, I make this statement, and maybe it's a large statement, but of the rooms we spend time in, I believe the bedroom is probably the one that has the least amount of ventilation, hence it's probably the most polluted room. I also find it interesting that when I've gone to the Asthma and Allergy Foundation's website, I've gone to the American Lung Association's website, and you can check this out. They both make this comment. It's very common for those people with those respiratory issues to go to bed at night and have those issues flare up. And it's interesting they say they're not sure why. I'm going to put out there that maybe it's because they're walking into the room with the most amount of pollution. And I would expect that they'd have some type of a reaction walking into a room and being in there for an extended period of time. So the big question I started off with, does exhaust only deal with this issue? And my training on air movement, the answer is no. Does it deal with the moisture issue created in a bathroom? Yeah, it'll deal with that. And that's an issue for the house, and it's something that we need to have a solution for. But is it really a solution for the health issues that exist in our houses now? I say it doesn't. You'll have to make that decision for your house.